So my name's Mike Boyle. I'm a PhD student at Imperial College London and the National University of Singapore. And I'm working at an experiment in Borneo, Malaysia, looking at how temperature changes that arise after deforestation or when forest is converted to something like an oil palm plantation, how those increases in temperature affect insect populations that are responsible for some of the important processes that maintain the rainforest. So we've found that the physiology of insects, so we went and measured the temperatures that various insects could exist at and looked then at the temperature changes that occur across the landscape after deforestation or conversion to oil palm. And the interaction of the physiology of an insect and the novel microclimates that emerge define the populations and communities of insects that exist in that landscape. So we're looking at tolerances from about 40 degrees up to about 45 degrees. And the sort of average high daily temperature in something like an oil palm plantation is between kind of 30 and 35 degrees. So that means that almost all of these insects are living only within a few degrees of their upper critical thermal tolerance. So under climate change scenarios, a lot of these insects could easily become extinct in these disturbed landscapes. We're only really scratching the surface of this kind of research, and looking at a lot of the data we have on temperature change and climate change is at very, very large scales, kilometre-wide scales, and using air temperature. And insects are obviously incredibly small, and the environment that they live in is very complex. So actually, we might be making wrong predictions about climate change effects on insects because they can crawl under a leaf or into a crack of wood where it's going to be cooler than they would be out in the open air temperature. So we really need to refine our ability to measure microclimates in forests before we can kind of jump to big conclusions about climate change, I think. So the SAFE project, which is the big experimental area that I've been working at in Borneo, I think is really well placed for these kinds of studies because we've got an established array of sampling locations that go from really, really pristine primary rainforest through multiple levels of logged forest, so once logged forest, twice logged forest, multiply logged forest, into oil palm plantations, some of which are old and new. And we're building up a really big collection of data from all of those points now. So they present us with a really huge gradient of temperature changes, actually a bigger gradient of temperatures than you might get after 50 to 100 years of climate warming. So we're able to see on a temperature scale what communities might be that have moved from primary forest into these more disturbed habitats, the kind of things that they might have experienced under climate change scenarios, I think.